Yeah, thanks for that. And just so that people are all working off the same information, and I mean this more for the audience than for our conversation, but we were at 1,800 officers when Cleo and I started this, and we're now around 1,300 or 1,350 available officers. And when you add all the vacancies in and the cut positions, you're basically 500 down. Um, you know, the reason that you had no district reps and that there's no one doing traffic enforcement is not because the police don't care. It's because they don't have enough human beings doing this work. And while it is true that defund the police only lasted for 1 year, uh, first of all, it only lasted for 1 year because the state legislature passed a law that made it impossible for it to continue. I believe it would have continued, um, but that blew open a hole in the budget and in the staffing situation that we've actually not only not repaired, it's actually only gotten bigger. We've been losing on average. Cleo's heard me mention this stat 1,000 times: 15 officers a month to attrition every single month on average now for 5 years. We're gaining, I don't know, 30, 40 officers a year when a cadet class goes through a 6 to 8 month course instruction period, a 1 to 2 month field instruction period, and then their whatever it is, 90-day or so initial phase. You're only getting 30, 40, maybe at best 60 a year, and you're losing at 15 a month, 180 a year. So it really is just a math problem. And so, Cleo rightly points out that the police contract is a huge problem. Thankfully, they've been negotiating. They appear to be close. We hope that really gets brought home quickly. We have a new police chief that we're excited about that was voted in on a unanimous basis, Lisa Davis, who starts really almost any day now, and she's already back here in Austin. So I guess as you look at public safety, I realize there's a lot of facets to this, and not everyone has to agree on everything. But the staffing crisis for us really is foundational. Have you thought much about this? Have you done ride-alongs? Have you talked to the police union? Have you talked to the fire union, the EMS union? Cleo and I have a tough time understanding why anyone who cares about our city would ever do anything that would work against our first responders from a policy standpoint. But the sad reality is we do have people on council who have worked to undermine them at times, including, in fact, I would argue the person that you're seeking to replace, Allison Alter. But let's set that aside. But talk about what you've learned from first responders and what you think we need to do.
Well, certainly one thing I was going to mention that you just touched on was it's not just a police problem, it's a problem across the board for all first responders.
Yep.
When I was doing my fire ride along last week, one of the stats that they mentioned was there was a gentleman there that an officer that had joined about 10 years ago. And when he joined, there were about 4,000 applicants for about 125 positions. A more recent officer who's on probation, which is not, hasn't served long enough to be a fully serving officer. When he joined, he said it was about 400 applicants for about 200 positions. When I talked to Chief Nix, he said it could have been between 8 and 1,200, depending on how you classify it. But the bottom line is, at that trajectory, regardless of which one it is, that's not a trajectory we want to pursue. That trajectory where you're starting to no longer have a really professional fire force, where you're getting people that may just want to. You're not getting the best of the best, which is where I think we've been very fortunate to have a lot of great officers now. They're kind of the Swiss Army knife for emergency services, which is another lesson I learned last week, which is to say, when you are getting routed through dispatch and you're not exclusively or expressly a police or an EMS call, you get routed to fire, and they're out there, helping old ladies up and taking care of every emergency and unlocking a door or whatever it is. And we're going to lose a lot of that flexibility and a lot of that professionalism at the rate that we're going. And I know one stat Chief Nix talks about also, or not Chief Nix, Bob Nix, the union president at AFD, is over time, the percentage of general fund dollars that have gone towards police, fire, EMS have dropped from about 66 to 62%. And that, to me, is a reflection of our priorities also. And I'd like to see that restored, because I do feel like the city is in the business of providing excellent and efficient core city services, which includes police, fire, EMS, as well as libraries, parks, health and human services, and other things. That's where our energy and should be. And right now, that's been diluted. It's even been diluted. One of the things that's interesting that you can't even tell from looking at the budget is it's also been diluted from simply a general fund as a percentage of the total budget, right? So general fund is, X percent of the budget. About 8 or 9 years ago, it was about $1 billion out of about a $3.5 billion budget. Today, it's about 1.4 out of a $5.9 billion budget. So what that really means is, as a percentage of core city services, the general fund versus all spending, it's declined also. And to me, again, it's a reflection of our priorities and where we want to be as a city. And I'd like to see that reverse, because to me, that's what most people are depending on when they think of the city of Austin, showing up for emergency services and ice storms and everything else that we need to be doing to make sure people are safe and have access to, the right response at the right time.